Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Welcome back to another live show, and we're going to talk about a few things in this show. And just a reminder, if you're watching this at approximately 3:08 p.m. New York City time, then this is a live show. So one of the big things that I've run across this week is, well, obviously, the Osmo Pocket, which I really like. I like it better than the GoPro, and I've been using GoPro since GoPro Hero 2. Never picked up GoPro Hero 1, but I did pick up GoPro Hero 2 and every GoPro since. But, since GoPro went public, their products changed, and unfortunately they just don't provide the innovative experience that they used to with their cameras. So that's completely different when it comes to DJI. So this is the Osmo Pocket, and in its most pure form, when you power it on and you're using it as a handheld gimbal, it does a really good job. And what's so nice is that this included case is so small and so lightweight, easy to put around one's wrist, put in your pocket, put in a backpack, whatever, and then you can pop this out, and for something smaller than a cell phone, you can get 4K 60 video with very good. I found the battery life on this to be very good. It is worth mentioning the batteries are not user replaceable, but it's not a problem. All I do is carry a battery bank around with me. Where the Osmo Pocket gets really exciting is when you branch out and you start to attach it to stuff. And if you're familiar with GoPro, you know that GoPro camera was just part of the fun. Adam, welcome aboard. Adam just said hello from the UK. Welcome aboard to the live broadcast. But where this thing gets really cool is when you start to mount it. So, obviously that's what made the GoPro so cool was the ability to mount, and GoPro was kind of first of its kind, and they did a really good job initially with their camera. But now what is cool is taking the Osmo Pocket, and you can manipulate this as best suited for your forehead. The Driver's Advantage, welcome aboard. Driver's Advantage from Michigan. Very cool. Got a lot of people tuning in here. Obviously, y'all are commenting, and everyone that's quiet and may want to comment. This is a live show. If you're watching this at approximately 3:10 p.m. New York City time on Sunday. But this right here, and you can see it's mounted to my head. But what makes this different? If you're used to a GoPro, what makes this different and better is you can power this on, and obviously the default use for, or I shouldn't say use, the default setup for Osmo Pocket is hand holding, and you can see in the small screen here. But if you triple tap, it then puts the camera, in this case, towards me. But when I attach my head strap, now I've got the camera gimbal stabilized 4K 60 video, and it's on my head. So if you're using a GoPro, and something I want to do, I wish this piece right here, instead of having to triple tap and have the screen facing forward, not that I would see the screen when it's on my head anyway, but being able to put it in the other way, that'd be kind of cool, just to eliminate the triple tap. But yeah, this is gimbal stabilized, so now when I'm walking, instead of having a GoPro attached on the head strap mount, I've got the Osmo Pocket, and it's a lot better for several reasons. Number one, it's gimbal stabilized, so when you're walking, it's keeping that horizon horizontal. When you're dealing with a software stabilized camera such as GoPro Hero 7 Black, you're getting good video, and it's 4K, and it's pretty stable. But where you'll notice the difference is with a GoPro Hero 7 Black, even though it's, with it being software stabilized, you don't have the gimbal. Whereas with this, I have a gimbal. So I've got a mechanically stabilized gimbal that the camera's attached to, which makes it a better viewing experience. Now, yeah, like a GoPro, it kind of looks goofy, I'll admit. Having this on the head. Philip says, surely the GoPro 7 is a better option. Your views. Well, so I'll talk about the advantages that, I'm going to power this off. I'm going to talk about the advantages that that GoPro has over the Osmo Pocket. Number one, the GoPro Hero 7 Black, the most current model GoPro. It's without a case. The current model GoPro, the Hero 7 Black, is highly waterproof without a case. So that's an advantage that GoPro has. The other advantage that GoPro has over Osmo Pocket is the overall durability of the design. You can see here, if I was in tight quarters, maybe I'm crawling through, spelunking or something, going through a cave, and I raise my head up and hit a rock, this is probably going to break. And if it breaks, it's probably going to render the gimbal and/or camera useless. So from that perspective, GoPro is better, because GoPro is a more, even though any camera could be damaged, GoPro without any sort of external case is still a more ruggedized solution. This is not waterproof. This is not water resistant. So it's, but with all that being said, for my use case for hiking, wide open environments, going down a trail, using this is better than a GoPro, because I don't have the horizon that's not level. With a GoPro and a head strap mount, I'm going to get the horizon that's not level. Even though the GoPro has software stabilization, it's not a gimbal, so it's not going to maintain the the horizontal horizon. I don't have any problems with the GoPro or the Osmo Pocket video quality, and I know with the GoPro you can disable the fisheye to some degree, but that's what I like about this. I get a lot flatter looking video, so I don't have that fisheye look. And for me, it's a matter of personal preference. I like the look of the video from the Osmo Pocket better. It does 4K 60. It looks really good. And overall, I think the video quality is better. Plus, putting a mechanical gimbal in there, I can capture a lot better results. Also, I feel the integrated mic in this Osmo Pocket is superior to the GoPro. So, in professional situations, you would probably want to have the lavalier mic to professionally record your audio and then sync with the Osmo Pocket or GoPro's audio. But this gets the job done. The driver's advantage says, do you have any comments about the Phantom RTK? Or do you have any photogrammetry? Oh, that's a tough... Photogrammetry? And then Adam says, Samsung S10 Plus for playback and editing. Bye-bye iPhone. Okay, so we'll get to driver's advantage comment first. Do you have any comments about Phantom RTK? Not yet. I'm very careful when it comes to a speculated drone. And my only comments at this point about any drone, whether it's called an RTK, a Phantom 5, a Phantom X, a Phantom 10, whatever they may want to badge it, my only thoughts now are whatever comes out better have a modular camera. It better provide some sort of feature set, hopefully 360 VR camera, something that we don't get in the other drones, such as Mavic 2 Pro. I mean, for me right now, and I've said it over and over, Mavic 2 Pro is the perfect drone. There's no better drone on the market today, in my opinion. It's small, it's lightweight, great battery life, well made. The Hasselblad camera on it, even though people say, man, that's not a real Hasselblad. Whatever it is, it's got Hasselblad written on it. That 1-inch sensor produces very good photo and very excellent video quality in all lighting situations. And that's what I love about that. So, I'm excited about a new Phantom, but for me to be truly excited, I'm going to have to see, once it's actually formally acknowledged that it's coming out, what's it going to have? What's the feature set that's going to set it apart from the pack? And what's going to make me want to get a potentially larger and less convenient drone to use instead of the small and lightweight Mavic 2 Pro that is a real stunner. So, who knows? Samsung S10 for playback and editing. Everybody's got their own workflow, and I've never been a mobile device video editor. So for me, it's not it's not a concern. So if you do edit videos on a mobile device, potentially, and granted, I haven't had my hands on the Samsung, but potentially it could provide a better editing experience. But without without being a mobile video editor myself, I can't really comment one way or the other. What I do think is going to be interesting is when Apple responds and when they release their iPhones, probably in 2019. I mean, it's their release cycle. They should be, and I'm hoping that on the next iPhone, hopefully we get USB-C like they gave us on the current model of iPad of the iPad Pro, because I think USB-C is greatly superior to the Lightning style connector. It doesn't matter if you're using Apple branded Lightning connectors, if you're using third-party Lightning connectors, Lightning style connectors, those things tend to wear out, and they tend to wear out very quickly. I can't say that I've ever had a USB-C cable wear out, and that's why Apple. I know why they haven't gone with USB-C yet, because they want to continue to use their proprietary cable. But I mean, come on, Apple! It's 2019. You need to just throw that junk out and switch to USB-C. Mike says, "Sup everybody, sup Mike, welcome aboard." And then Adam says, "Screen quality is superior and has a high nit rating." Nit is super important, and for everyone out there that's not familiar with nits, look at some of the more recent DJI display offerings. You know, the Crystal Sky. The nits provide a better visual experience in most any lighting situation, whether it's really bright sunshine or it's dark out or whatever. You know, the nits is a key performance indicator, KPI, for displays now. So inevitably, you know, Apple's going to respond. Regrettably, I hate to say that Apple has been, you know, since Jobs left the helm several years ago. I mean, Tim Cook tries his best, but they're just not the. And granted, all my editing equipment's Apple. I love it, but as far as innovation's concerned, Apple's been kind of stale for the past few years, in my opinion. But yeah, it could be somebody like Samsung could outpace Apple. But with that being said, you know, I've got a it's not a smartphone, but I've got a Samsung refrigerator, and I love that thing. But when I bought it, the reason I bought it is because it was a refrigerator that had two ice makers. It had one in the freezer, and it had a second ice maker up top that had the thing that would distribute the ice dispenser. And I bought it with the expectation of one of those two ice makers failing. And of course, as luck would have it, the ice maker that failed was the ice maker up top, which is also attached to the ice dispenser. So now my Samsung branded refrigerator, only after a few years of ownership, by the way, no longer dispenses ice. So I have to go down into the freezer with the scoop and scoop the ice out and put in my drinks. So, you know, my experience with Samsung with the refrigerator was not terrible. You know, it's a sad fact that technology nowadays is expected to fail, just poorly made, especially appliances. So, you know, that partially failed, but the rest of it still works. I've got a Samsung oven, no problems with it. It's been rock solid. And I've got a Samsung microwave. That microwave has outlived any of my other microwaves. Usually I get about 2 years out of a microwave, but the Samsung microwave is several years into its life, and it hasn't failed me yet. But I don't really know about Samsung phones. Again, a lot of people criticize me. I'm like, dude, you're Apple fanboy. I wouldn't really say I'm an Apple fanboy. I just like the Apple ecosystem because I use Apple for, you know, MacBook Pro that I'm live streaming with now. I use Apple for all my editing. It's just it's really clean having a phone that's also connected to the same Apple iCloud. And I know it sounds stupid, but you know, once you start messing with it, you know, with terabytes of 4K video, you know, efficiency becomes efficiency in a streamlined process is what you want to do. I mean, I used to be the nerd. You know, I'd build my own Linux machines and go that route, and you know, hardcore command line guru, this, that, and the other. But nowadays, since I've gotten big into YouTube, it's like the passion I had with building computers, upgrading computers, playing around in the command line. That's kind of all gone out the door because now I'm all about efficiency, and you know, video editing and video production and releasing videos on my YouTube channel and live streams such as this. You know, that's my newfound passion. So for that reason, I'm kind of married to Apple, but I wouldn't consider myself to be an Apple fanboy. I would just say that I'm that I'm stuck within the Apple ecosystem, and being stuck there is not a bad thing in my opinion. Mike says, "Oh, SoCal Seth, we got SoCal Seth. Welcome aboard." SoCal Seth is one of the many most loyal viewers out there, and that's greatly appreciated. Can't think of a live show that he wasn't able to attend. And these live shows are unannounced, by the way. I think it sends out a notification when it goes live, but I mean, I haven't pre-scheduled them yet. Mike says, I bought a Samsung fridge and it quit twice within 3 years. Wow. What was failing? Was it the refrigerator section, the freezer section? Was it everything? That's horrible. What was it? Let's see. Adam says, any information on the Phantom 5 this year? Well, Phantom 5, it's all up in the air. Are they going to release a new Phantom? I think if DJI is planning to release a new Phantom, that it'll pretty much have to be this year, because obviously last year was their Mavic 2 Pro and Mavic 2 Zoom. So it would make sense that if they're going to bring another Phantom, they would bring it now and let the awesome Mavic 2 line continue to sell. But there's a possibility they could bring us an upgraded Mavic Air or an upgraded Spark, or maybe they'll abandon those platforms, the Spark and the Mavic Air, which I love the Mavic Air, by the way, but maybe they'll abandon those and make Mavic 2 kind of the low-end drone, Phantom the middle, and Inspire the just big, overpriced, heavy thing. Or maybe what they'll do is make Mavic Air the entry-level drone, Mavic 2 the prosumer drone, and Phantom 5 or Phantom X, whatever they choose to call it, the professional drone, and discontinue the Inspire. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. I'm excited. I mean, regardless of what comes out, unless it's an Inspire, which I care nothing about, I'm always excited because I love DJI. I love taking it out in the field and just, having a good time, safe and fun time, and ultimately filming all of these videos and talking about it and learning from y'all, and just having a good time with it. Philip says, I'm not an Apple fan, but the iPad Pro 12.9 OS, a great tablet from what I see, also looks good for editing. Yeah, they're packing a punch, and there's a lot of very credible speculation indicating that Apple's trying to weasel their way away from OS 10, from Mac OS. They're going to try to make the iOS operating system replace Mac OS. And I'm kind of on the fence about that because I like a really nice Unix operating system on my desktop or laptop computer for my video editing. It's rock solid. Don't have to worry about viruses. And I don't know if, at least immediately, I don't know if an operating system like iOS tailored for tablet and smartphone use would necessarily be the best tool for editing videos on a laptop or desktop. SoCal says, I do miss a bit, but I'm still here for you. That's what matters, man. I mean, this, again, independent channel. Oh, and speaking of that, anybody on here, if you choose to do so, super chat. I think it was my last. It was either Epic Drone Show or IrixGuy's live show. Had like 4 or 5 super chats during a live event. So if you choose to do so, click super chat, and it'll be it'll be greatly appreciated. And then we've got let's see. Mike is talking about his Samsung refrigerator. He said, just quit getting cold. They replaced the board the first time. Second time, I just replaced it. He paid $2,200 for it. Very disappointed. They are built to fail these days. Yeah, appliances are built to fail. It's a shame. And they do that because they know if they sold somebody an appliance and it was built to last, then they wouldn't make more money from that customer. It's ridiculous. But Total Video, if you have a Samsung appliance, you were fortunate to find someone to work on it. Around here, I've not found anyone that will work on a Samsung appliance. That's very interesting. Brands like GE, those are fairly easy to find people that support them. And, I don't know. Mike says, love my Samsung phone, but their appliances. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, not every company is good with everything they do, and hey, I love my Samsung microwave, my Samsung range, my Samsung oven. I mean, it's been rock solid and it's trucking along, but I don't know. Now you got me nervous, man. Your Samsung refrigerator completely going out. Now, Total says he likes her Samsung TV. Yeah, Samsung's TVs are good. I've got an LG right now, and then I've got a Schecter and a Ching Hong. But I would say the LG is my favorite TV. It's a very good 4K display. Total Video says he has an appliance repair company. Would not consider working on a Samsung appliance. Oh, cool. Well, that's good to know. So if my second ice maker in my Samsung fails, or the whole thing blows up, I will definitely not get another Samsung fridge. And then SoCal Seth is back on the Samsung smartphone route, and he's saying he's looking forward to the Samsung S10 or Fold. Yeah, the foldable phones look cool. I'll admit I personally would be hesitant to be an early adopter because inevitably that that first iteration of the phone is something that's in essence a public beta. People they're paying a premium to use it, and the user experience may be great, but even if it seems to be great on the surface, there's probably a lot of things that they're working to improve upon during the next version that's released. So Mike says, I have a Samsung TV that is almost 10 years old and still kicking. Hey, that's great. I've got a Ching Hong TV that's about the same age and it's kicking. I had a Sony, one of the first Sony plasmas, and I love Sony products. But, plasmas, just because of the technology, they didn't have the lifespan of an LED display. So that thing hit about whatever the maximum expected hours was. That plasma TV hit the maximum expected hours, and then I heard just pop, and everything turned into kind of a purple color. So, I knew at that point that that plasma display was gone. But it lived. It performed. It probably exceeded the expected life hours. Total Video says, our TV has been great, probably older than 10 years. That's awesome for a phone. I mean, for a TV. Older than 10 years. Mike says, foldable phone for $2,000, no thanks. Yeah. Well, it's like anything else. You think of most anything else is foldable. What happens after something is folded and unfolded repeatedly? Typically, it starts to wear out at the seams. And it'd be interesting to look back a year or two from now, look back at the first version of the foldable phones and see what they look like a year or two from now. Also, what about screen protectors for those things? What are you going to do? Get like 2 screen protectors for each part that folds out? And how are those going to impact the ability of the device to fold? If you've got a glass, I don't know about you, but on my phone I use glass screen protectors and they're somewhat elevated. If I didn't use them, I'd be breaking my my iPhone screen every few months. So, I wouldn't, number one, I wouldn't be found dead with a phone that expensive, and number two, if I was, it would have to have a screen protector on each of the breakable screens. So who knows? But the technology looks cool, and it does signal what where technology's heading, and at least that's a positive. But I think it's at that price point. I mean, even if money was no issue, I think at that price point, I think it's saying, hey, we're testing a technology for the future, even though it's a product that's been released to production. So for that reason, I'm out. I'm not interested. I'm saying I'm not interested in the first of breed. After it's been out for a while, the future versions of it I'll probably be interested in, but. SoCal says, luckily for me, I manage well even without screen protectors and cases. That is lucky. I mean, I can't think of a single phone that I can. The last phone that I owned that never tore up was a Motorola Razr. Remember those flip phones? and I had the Motorola Razr, and actually I jumped in. That was back. Let's see, when did I have it? That was back when I was in college, and I was out with a bunch of people and drinking. I jumped in a pool, and I had the Motorola Razr in my pocket. Got out of the pool, let it dry out. It worked fine. so that Motorola Razr was an exceptionally well-made phone. So, yep, good phones. They don't make them like that anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm gonna take Osmo Pocket off my head, but I've really, cameras have come a long way, and it makes me curious if DJI's next announcement, instead of being another drone such as the Phantom 5 or the Phantom RXT or RX or whatever they want to call it, instead of being something like that, what if it's a more professional level of the Osmo Pocket? I mean, this is by no means a cheap and disappointing performance, but if they had one of these with a 1-inch sensor camera on it, like the Hasselblad that's on the Mavic 2 Pro, I think that would be even more awesome. And especially if they could keep the size and weight of it to about the same size as this, and if they could make it waterproof without the need for an external housing, that would be even more sweet. But who knows? I mean, I'm really enjoying the Osmo Pocket and the amount of the amount of quality content that I've collected from it so far. So, and that's a really nice touch. You can stick your USB-C in there and charge it while it's in this case. But let's see. SoCal Seth says pools and phones don't mix, but new Samsung Galaxies are somewhat waterproof. That's true. Yeah, those new Samsungs are. Brad says, I think the Spark 2 Pro is definitely going to be announced this year with the Phantom 5. Well, that could make sense, because if they did that, it would actually be a pretty cool marketing move, because Phantom 5 or Phantom platform's been silent for a long time, and the other most silent product that product line that they've released that's also been silent is a Spark. So the possibility of a Spark, maybe a 4K version with a 3-axis gimbal and better battery life, and hopefully USB charging, that would be awesome. But if they release that on the low end, and then the Phantom on the ultra high end, I think that would be really cool. And I think Brad, you've raised a very interesting point there, and I think it's highly plausible. I mean, that would make sense if they want to breathe fresh life into both of those product lines, I would think. And maybe they really want to make Spark something. I know the first Spark, although it was small, it wasn't small enough, and to be the size that it was, the features and the battery life deeply disappointed. So, I mean, I'm not saying it was a horrible drone. I'm just saying it was, out of the DJI drones, right, I would rank the DJI drones that I dislike the most. Number one would be the Inspire, and then right behind the Inspire would be the Spark at number 2. That would be the second, the second most disliked DJI drone. I don't really like it. But yeah, let's see what they come out with. I think if they could do things right with the Spark 2, I think that would be really cool. But regardless of what comes out, if it's just not a complete flop, obviously I'm going to pick it up and take it out in the field and go through the usual. Because, I mean, that's what it's all about, just getting out with a drone and having a good time and posting videos and trying to break it and, posting fixes and this, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a bunch of good stuff coming. And I think cameras, on the mirrorless camera front, I think we're going to see a Sony A7S III very soon, and hopefully it'll do 4K 60. And what would make it even better is if they can make that screen on the back of the Sony A7S III visible from the front, because people that are filming themselves face on video, when I use my A7 III, which I really like it, but when I use it, I've got to, you know, if I don't have a film crew with me, I got to use my smartphone to confirm that I'm in the camera's field of view, which isn't a huge inconvenience, but it's still another thing I got to flip on when I do that. Mike says max battery life I could ever get on the Spark was 12 minutes. Yeah, I mean, by the time that I got the Spark, and again, everybody's use case is different, but by the time I got the Spark and check out, let me get a link to that video. It was several years ago when I flew the first flight with the DJI Spark. Let me find that video here. It was the first flight with the Spark. DJI Spark first flight. Let me find it here. Oh, here it is, right here. I'm going to post a link. So yeah, this was the first flight with my Spark. And, you know, having confidence with DJI products, I mean, my first flight with the Spark was actually over water. I was out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a lake, in my boat. And that was the level of confidence that I had that it was going to perform well. But, you know, with that being the case, when that battery started to get low, I got nervous because I knew I didn't have a lot of time. I mean, by the time I really took off and had a, you know, a minute or so of fun with it, it was almost time to land it again. So yeah, greater battery life for the Spark would be a must. Now, if they come out with Spark 2 and it can fall underneath the weight that categorizes a drone as an aircraft versus a toy, if it could be categorized as a toy but still provide acceptable performance in 4K video, that could be a game changer. Not just from an end user's perspective, but also from their perspective, because a lot of people would probably want it. Total Video says, I get calls constantly to work on Samsung appliances. I'm familiar with 11 service companies, and none of them work on Samsung. Total Video says, I've all but begged local retailers to quit selling them because they are doing wrong to their customers. They don't care. Yeah, you know, that's the sad part. A lot of retailers, they don't care. All they care about is making a buck, and they don't, you know, once that. Unfortunately, a lot of retailers think that, you know, once that product leaves their store, that it's no longer of concern, and that's a horrible stance. But a lot of people do that. So, yeah, that's really interesting. But yeah, we're gonna get a lot of very cool stuff. And just to remind everyone, if you're looking for a drone, looking for a camera or anything, expand this video's description and click the links there. Or you can just go directly to epicdroneshow.com or IrixGuy.com. And, you know, if you choose to do that, that really helps me. Being an independent YouTuber, you know, I'm looking for support in any way that it'll come. And again, the purest form of support is what you're doing right now. You're tuning into a live show, you're commenting, and that helps a lot. But if you want to take it to the next level, you know, check out my website for all of your drones, your cameras. And feel free to choose to support me on Patreon as well, and Super Chat, whatever you may choose to do. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, it's nowadays it's like products that are purchased. That's just the way it is. I mean, they're like you said, they're built to fail. These appliances, they cost several $1,000s. They're built to fail. And then people are like, well, should I buy an extended warranty for the appliances? And it's like, no, because that's just more money into something that's going to fail anyway. I don't know. It's crazy. Mike says DJI needs to make appliances, TVs, and phones. Actually, they do. That'd be great. And that's what's funny about DJI. You know, they started out as this company that none of us had heard of. And then they released the drone. And then they started making their own cameras for the drones and then their own gimbals for the drones. No longer had to use a third-party GoPro. So then they said, well, you know what, we're going to take it to the next level. They started making the tablet interfaces for the drones. Then they started making cameras such as the Osmo Pocket. Well, the first version of Osmos, which were before this, but you know, something that someone could hand hold and capture video that's gimbal stabilized. So DJI stuck their neck out and they've gotten in so many different lines of business. It's super cool. Total Video says, I'm trying to get out of the appliance repair business because of my age and body hurts. I can imagine if I had to if I worked on the appliances, I'd be mad too, because I mean, just as a consumer, I see how pitiful they are now, and I mean, they fail within a few months or a few years, and then yeah, that would be frustrating. But from a business perspective, it's probably a good thing, because you've got more failing appliances, so there's more opportunity to have business to go out and fix them. So that's a lucrative business model. It really is. Speaking of business, Google Plus is that's one of those failed things that Google put out. I love Google, love YouTube, but I think Google Plus is pretty much, has it been totally disconnected now, or is it? Let's see, plus.google.com. I know it's going offline soon. Let's see, my Google account goes away in April, it says. So that's next month. Not my Google account, my Google Plus account. Let me rephrase that. If my Google account goes away, there's a problem. Total Video says, I used to have a video production business in the 80s and 90s, then phased that out, became Garmin GPS dealer. Then when that declined, started repairing appliances. That's cool, man. It's always cool to pivot, you know, and get into those new areas of opportunity. Yeah, internet video, it's interesting to see the shift, and you know how we've you know, some people predicted what was coming, but now I think it's pretty clear that you know, that internet video is already pretty much the mainstream, but I think it's even going to take over even more. Total Video says, I opened a hobby shop in 2013 and was introduced to drones. Sold hobby shop 2 years later. Got my 107 as Part 107, which is a commercial drone license, a year ago. Recently bought the Mavic 2 Pro. Just started doing some video editing again. Yeah, video editing is, I don't know. I never dealt with video editing until I became a YouTube partner, and then it was a product of necessity, because I knew that, you know, the first video, and you may not have heard of this story, but the first video that I filmed for the channel was a cruise ship video, and it was just a cheap camera. It was a point and shoot. I forget what I filmed it with. It was a Fuji or a cheap Nikon. Maybe cost a few $100. But Google watched the video, and they said that it was really good, and they wanted to, well, invite me to become a YouTube partner. And you know, that's when YouTube partner program was by invitation only, and you know, normally I would ignore that because I thought it was probably just going to, you know, more spam in my email box. But when I saw that it came from Google, I was like, you know, this may be legit. Sure enough, I joined, and that led to the necessity to learn how to not only edit video, but how to create better looking videos. So it's been a you know, a self-edge. Yeah, actually that video is. Let me get that. Let me send y'all a link to that video that caused the invitation to appear. I'm getting it right now. But yeah, that led to that was 8 years ago. So it was 8 years ago when I was invited to become a YouTube partner. And let's see, here is the link. I'm going to link it here in the comments. So this is the video that started the obsession with not only running the YouTube channel, but also video editing and cameras and drones and everything else. Total Video says, wow, what a change from the 90s. I also have done news video for 31 years, starting to do more of that too. I enjoy your videos. Very cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's a different, and I say it's different. I never dealt with it until 8 years ago when I filmed this video that I just linked of a Carnival Elation cruise ship. So, you know, it's more, and I think this is more of a, this is more in line with how internet video has changed video, because now we've got a lot more content creators. In the past, if someone wanted to share their video creations with everyone, they had to go the traditional television route, which probably involved cost that was likely cost prohibitive. So a lot of people were unable to share the videos that they've created because of the excessive cost. And what YouTube did is open up the floodgates for anyone with any type of camera to share their video creations with anyone in the world for free. And that's it's presented an interesting business model from the standpoint that anyone with a camera that chooses to do so can post their videos on YouTube. So it's created a lot of competition, and the result of competition obviously is for people that care about it to amplify their quality. So that means that, channels like me, independent YouTuber, I started out with that cheap camera that I filmed the Carnival cruise ship video that I just linked 8 years ago with. Started out with that. I didn't have a Mac. Did I have a Mac computer? I can't remember. I don't even think I had a Mac at the time. I was just using an old Windows computer with some freebie, was it Windows Movie Maker or something. So it it prompted me to explore the better hardware. So I got a better computer, got a better Mac. Instead of using iMovie, then I upgraded to Final Cut Pro 10. And then instead of using a simple camera, I got in the middle camera. I got a fixed lens camera that was good, and then I messed with camcorders, and I discovered, what? Once I found Sony Alpha, I haven't wanted anything else, because interchangeable lens mirrorless camera for both videos and photos, I can't beat the quality. And the best part about it for me is that I can achieve the professional look with both the video and the audio. I record the audio externally, but I can do so it's not super expensive. It's not cheap, but I look at it as I'm creating content that can become somewhat future-proofed, rather, because it is watchable. I mean, the quality is I'm not going to say exceptional, but I'll say it's it mimics professional quality in some of the videos that I've been able to film with the equipment. So it's a fun experience, and that's the best part about it, is just playing around and figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and waiting for the new tech. I can't wait until something else comes out. I mean, I love drones, but until something else like drones comes out that's just, we didn't see it coming, and it's just most everybody's obsessed with it, because those are the types of topics that having a YouTube channel and being passionate about new technologies, and not just wanting to showcase what the new technology can do, whether it's a drone or whatever, but going in and learning. It's a rewarding experience personally, because you get to play with something cool, and then you get to share your experiences with others, and then you get to learn from others and incorporate that into future content. Because you can cater to the feedback that they provided, and continue to have fun. And I mean, obviously, it's a business opportunity as well. I mean, YouTube's not just fun and games. It's fun and games, but it's got to have the monetized backbone. I'm saying it's got to have it because I've got to make the money. If it didn't provide financial benefit, just to do this purely for fun wouldn't be. I couldn't justify it. Brad says, have been considering getting my new MacBook Pro with upgraded 12 gigabyte memory and 256 SSD as well as i7 processor. Any thoughts on how much better that'd be compared to a standard MacBook? Well, I can tell you with editing 4K video, when the current model MacBook, well, actually they've got a newer model now, but the original MacBook that had the USB-C, I picked that up because I like the small size, the lightweight nature of it, and the fact that I could easily throw it in. It wasn't much bigger than an iPad, and that I could run all my Mac OS apps such as Final Cut Pro 10, and it was a laggard. So the MacBook, I would definitely, especially if you're doing 4K video, I would not consider the MacBook an option. If I was going to do that, if I didn't care for a laptop, I would go Mac Mini if you want to try to get in at a lower price. But in all sincerity, having used, in the past, I've used both a desktop iMac and a MacBook Pro, and at one point I was using a desktop iMac and a MacBook Air. Now I've switched to one system, and I'm running the MacBook Pro 15-inch i9, and I'm running 512 SSD, and I've got about 32 terabytes of external, just cheap storage. It's standard mechanical hard drives, and then I've got an eGPU that's running the Radeon Vega 64. So as far as having a one computer, that's my in the field edits and also my studio. When I bring it to the studio, I plug it into the eGPU and the cheap 32 terabytes of external storage, and I've got everything there. But in the field, I've got the 512 integrated flash, and then just a little inexpensive 2 terabyte mechanical USB 3 drive that I got a USB-C cable for. And I can use that in the field, and that way I've got everything working from one computer. If I was only going to run one computer for editing, especially 4K video, it would have to be a MacBook Pro or a Mac Mini. And I wouldn't even consider the regular MacBook. I mean, the regular MacBook's a great machine, don't get me wrong, but if editing is your mission, it's probably not going to cut the mustard. A Toll Video says, if you want a good home warranty, I'd recommend American Home Shield. They seem to be the best from both myself as a service and a homeowner. That's cool. That's a cool tip. Yeah, it's part of me with this Google Plus going away. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't adopt using Google Plus, but part of me's nervous. I mean, I hope that doesn't any time that I hear, some sort of service being severed, I get a little bit nervous. So I don't know if y'all are nervous about Google Plus going away, or if it's going to be a non-event. Hopefully it'll be a non-event. But content creators like myself, we depend upon exposure. We depend upon views. We depend upon people supporting us through Patreon and our website. All their drone purchases, camera purchases, etc. So, hopefully Google Plus going away is not going to put a dent in anything, because, I really want to reach 100,000 subscribers and beyond as soon as possible. And right now, I think the channel's almost at 67,000 subscribers. But I really want to get that. I want to get that 100,000 subscriber break as quickly as possible, because I'm excited to get that YouTube play button trophy. I mean, I've been working on this for 8 years, because it was 8 years ago when I posted that cruise ship video that I just linked, and that's when I became a YouTube partner. Total Video says, I watched a lot of your videos, just can't see myself being on camera. It's awkward, and actually my first videos, I can't remember on the cruise ship video if I was in it or not. I'd have to watch it again, but in the beginning that was a tough part, and then I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. And number one, being an independent YouTuber, obviously I don't have a budget to pay someone to be in the videos. But even if I did, I was like, I probably still want to do it myself, because then you're paying someone a portion of your earnings, and that's just, it's good for the person that's being paid to do that, but it's not, I don't know. And there could be value in that. I mean, if you had a channel and you were the editor and the videographer and this, that, and the other, and you had somebody that was rock solid on video that could potentially amplify your views by, say, 100, 200, 5,000%, it could be worth taking a hit and and paying someone to be that face on video personality. But I don't know. Toll Video says he paid $9,000 for his first 4 gigabyte hard drive to start doing computer editing. Done tape to tape editing until that time. Wow. Yeah, then those were the video days for you when I was building computers. So that was before I was involved with video. The first computer I built was a let's see, was it a 380? No, it was a 286. Built a 286 computer. It's amazing how rapidly computer technology has evolved. I mean, I remember MS-DOS and when Windows came out. I remember Windows 3.1 and how revolutionary that felt versus the command prompt. But yeah, things have rapidly evolved, and I think that's going to be the next shift. The next shift now is, is more, people learning how they can better utilize internet video, and I think it's safe to say that that internet video is king. I often have conversations with people about about content on the internet and what's the best, and some people feel that it's not internet video, but I'm 100% confident that internet video is the future. And I mean that's where the value is, because you get YouTube personalities or whatever, video personalities, and it just really humanizes the content, and it makes people want to watch. But with that being said, appreciate everyone tuning in. We're almost an hour in, and I got to hit up the gym and get less fat. And but I'll be hosting another live show soon. Thanks again for tuning in, and definitely for all of your drone, camera, and whatever you're looking for, cat food, cat brush, whatever you may need, go to my website. Just go to epicdroneshow.com or IrixGuy.com. And again, obviously, feel free to support my channel on Patreon. You can find a link to IrixGuy on Patreon. Just expand this video's description, and you can find the link there. Obviously, it's completely optional, not required. But if anyone chooses to do so, it's deeply appreciated. I'm an independent YouTube channel. Try to do everything I can, but sometimes I do have budgetary constraints. So your support matters. Thanks for your viewership. And y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.